Welcome, everyone. I'm Michael Krieger with One Data Source. I'm here with Anna Anderson, Client Success Manager at One Data Source today. Welcome, Anna.
Hey, Michael, thanks for having me today.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to have this conversation with you today. We're going to be talking about accounts payable software, accounts payable automation, and you work on the one pay team at One Data Source. So figured it'd be great to lean on your expertise to help people better understand the benefits of accounts payable automation. We'll just jump right into it here. When you're thinking about software that helps automate either part of a process or an entire process, such as AP automation, what are some of the key benefits that it delivers to an end user, an AP manager, for businesses and companies?
Absolutely. So, kind of starting at the beginning of the process is really comes down to invoice collection and getting those items into one pay. So, we're able to work with our clients, get a strong system in place so that invoices are coming in very streamlined, less mail, more email type things that will just allow invoices to flow seamlessly into the application. That's kind of step one. Obviously, having a solid process for step one feeds into the rest of the process from an actual invoice processing standpoint. So, being able to get invoices electronically generated through email pullers and other things that we're able to get set up, that kind of kicks off the process to have a full process that runs smoothly. So, kind of pivoting to the processing standpoint and different areas of automation, we've got many different things throughout the OnePay platform. So, as a client, you can really choose, hey, I want to be really automated, or, I kind of want to ease into the automation because automation can be new for clients. And so, we can really tailor it to what you're looking for as an organization. So if you're ready to go with as much automation as possible, we will certainly come alongside of you and help get all of that set up so it runs smoothly. And if automation's something that's newer to you, we can kind of ease into it. So it's really up to the client and their comfort level. So kind of diving into some different areas of automation. First one that's really big is routing things for approval. So typically when somebody's not utilizing an accounts payable automation tool, emails are going back and forth, invoices being left on somebody's desk. It's just not a good streamlined process. So you're really able to utilize the OnePay platform so that it's simple on the AP processing side and then routes directly to a user for approval. So we've got all sorts of custom rules that can go into place. Really common to route things by a GL code or a specific location, for example. So we can put custom routing rules in place to streamline that approval process. So your accounts payable team is able to utilize OnePay, and then your approvers, whether they're internal, on the accounts payable team or maybe somebody out in operations, they're able to utilize the platform as well for, streamline approval process. So
Sure.
not just within the actual AP invoice processing, but it also takes it through that final step to approval.
Kind of remind me just how the automated GL coding can work.
Absolutely. So, from an automated GL standpoint, we have the ability to set up what we call default GLs. So, your vendors that are very straightforward, standard invoices, consistently coded to the same GL. We are able to put those default GL codes into place. So if you've got a vendor that every time it comes in, it's always landscaping, for example, we take that off of your AP team. So we go ahead at the vendor level. So we're able to get it pretty specific to your needs. We can say, all right, for this vendor, it's always this specific GL code. So from an AP standpoint, helps, with user error, honestly, because it's already plugged in there for you. And then you do have the opportunity, you get an exception that comes in, it needs to be coded differently, certainly can be adjusted in the system. So that's kind of where that automated GL standpoint comes into play. And that's something at a vendor level, like I said, highly customizable, that just eliminates one more touch of the invoice for the AP team.
The AP workflow and your experience, working with a number of customers over the years here. So, when you're onboarding customers, as you're evaluating their workflow, are there certain models you try to move them toward, or are there more like underlying principles you can try to apply to create the most efficient and effective workflow possible for the end users? What's your experience been like in terms of evaluating and maybe evolving the AP workflow?
Absolutely. So from an onboarding standpoint, I typically ask our clients, what does your current workflow look like? Because there are, you know, workflow assignments that are put in place for a reason for their organization. So I do like to get a picture of what is your current process and how can we kind of mold that into those custom approver assignment rules that I mentioned. So I really get kind of an upfront idea of what they're looking for, and then based on the client's comfort level, some clients are like, "Hey, we're open to changing our workflow. What we have hasn't been working. We're finding invoices are getting lost. It's taking too long to get things paid, so then we're paying invoices late." So if a client is open to changing process, we are always happy to provide best practices and what has worked for our really successful clients as far as workflows go. From my standpoint, on the client success side, I do find, the less people that need to look at an invoice, it's obviously going to get through the system much quicker for approval and payment. Also, kind of keeping approvals at a higher level. So, not necessarily needing to push things to a store level, maybe, because obviously the main goal for them is that they're operating those locations. So, kind of streamlining the workflow to where maybe you're able to approve things up to a certain dollar amount internally, super helpful for clients. So we're able to, get a full grasp of what is the current workflow? Are we open to any changes? And the great thing about, especially from the onboarding side, and even past go live, we can put a workflow in place and it can be changed at any time. So if you see, all right, we put in our initial workflow based on our current process and we're finding that, folks aren't getting their approvals done because they're focused on operating their restaurants or whatever locations they're responsible for, we can shift that workflow as needed. So nothing's ever set in stone. I always like to remind people that if something's not working, we adjust it, kind of trial and error. And our team is always happy to provide those best practices to really streamline the workflow.
Yeah, I think that's a great value add, right? Overall, that you have this ability to customize, but you girls have also seen, a number of different circumstances and
Mhm.
how this can actually work. So you're able to kind of implement industry best practices while also having that ability to kind of, customize to what the business needs or readjust something that maybe you've just put in place. So yeah,
Exactly. One other thing I wanted to mention
sure.
that does go along with automation, but also kind of during that onboarding phase and any workflow adjustments is our auto approval functionality, which is plays a huge part in automation. So as we're working through those things of, hey Anna, these vendors we don't need to send out to other people for approval. They're always approved. They're really straightforward. It's always uniforms. It's always landscaping, the standard type invoices, that's where additional automation can come into play. So, our auto approval functionality that, sends something straight through the system, full visibility is still there, all sorts of different parameters that we put in place based on the client's really their interest and how much control they want to have over those vendors. So, that's also a big part of that automation piece and typically something that we add on to post onboarding.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that element of control is kind of key for AP managers and the finance leaders as well. So I think that's actually a good segue to the person leading kind of the finance function at an organization. So for somebody who's leading that, a CFO, vice president of finance, vice president of accounting, controller, what are some of the key features of accounts payable automation that delivers significant value to them beyond just the end user and what we just discussed?
Yeah, absolutely. So, two things that really come to mind is control and visibility. So, from a control standpoint, like I was mentioning with those auto approvals, we can put certain thresholds in place, really keeping things to where you can still utilize that automation, but it's not a free for all. So, you still have that complete control of saying, this vendor is always $500. So, if $1,200 invoice comes in, it's an exception. We send it to your AP team for review. So you've got those controls in place. So nothing's just flying through the system that you're unaware of. So from a control standpoint, 100% all of those items are in place and accounted for in OnePay. Another big one, kind of falling under that control category, would be approval thresholds and those custom routing rules. So, from an approver standpoint, if it's an invoice that should absolutely be going to somebody for approval, we're able to put those rules in place, those custom rules that we create. And we can also put thresholds in place. So, a lot of times if you're including multiple levels of operations, maybe one user is able to approve up to a certain dollar amount and things over that dollar amount need to go up to a different user type. So we are able to put those controls in place as well, so that what you're doing internally, we can account for on one pay side. Also, from a visibility standpoint, OnePay is cloud based, so you have access 24/7, which saves a lot of emails, a lot less of, hey, can you pull this invoice and scan it and send it to me? If you're a user, you can log into OnePay and access those invoices based on the access that you're set up with. So maybe you're somebody that really just has view only capabilities, and we can give that user exactly the access that they need for the locations that they may be responsible for. So from a finance leader standpoint, you can log in, see visibility 24/7. You can see, where are my bottlenecks? Who's not logging in and approving their invoices? Clean audit trails of, who changed data on this invoice? When was this invoice approved? So from a finance leader standpoint, you've got that control and you've also got full visibility really across all of your accounts payable.
Great. And then just from with all this data, centralized within OnePay, is there some custom reporting available or just, kind of being able to maybe monitor spend a little bit more closely? What kind of financial reports are available there or visibility is available there?
Absolutely. So we've got some standard reports that are accessible to all of our clients, but really we find that clients enjoy the custom reports. So when you first go live, you've got your set of reports that everybody has access to, but we find that sometimes it's a lot easier to hop on a call and you tell me as a client, hey, I'm needing data based on XYZ. And the OnePay team's able to build out those custom reports for you. So whether it's you're looking at, I need to see how much spend there was for specific vendors, specific locations. We're able to work together to put together those customized reports that can be accessed in the user interface or even emailed out to specific users that may need those data points.
The last thing that we were gonna touch upon here was just, we talked about the value to the end user, to the individual in charge of finance here, but just kind of the organization at large. What are the organizational benefits that, um, a business can receive from AP automation?
First off, which a lot of people like to hear, you've got a lot of opportunity to really improve the bottom line. So invoices are, if you're doing your vendor management and things are flowing seamlessly through the application, you have those opportunities to take advantage of early payment discounts with vendors. So through that improved vendor management, you're able to see those benefits. They are kind of on the payment side with those discounts that are sometimes offered by vendors. And also when using payments through us, our supplier enablement team is able to run spend analysis and really identify opportunities to leverage virtual card payments, which in turn earns you some rebates, which is awesome. So that is something that our team is able to help with, which again, really improves the bottom line. You've really got a lot of flexibility. So if you put this streamlined process in place, you've got all these great members of an AP team where a lot of them may be spending time right now, manually coding invoices, which is very time consuming. So if you're able to implement a really solid accounts payable process, leveraging the automation tool of OnePay, you can take those users and, you've got a lot of different roles outside of processing just invoices. So maybe it's reallocating responsibilities to those users for other duties of accounts payable. So you're really able to also scale easily. So if you ever have any acquisitions, it's really easy to bring on additional locations directly into OnePay because you've already got that solid process in place. So you're just bringing in some additional locations. So it's really easy to scale when you've really got that centralized process in place.
Great. Well, that's fantastic, and I appreciate, all of your time today, filling us in on, the benefits of AP automation. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.